It's just about the worst feeling ever when you're selling your work at an art fair and you're in there, you've set up your entire booth, you're raring to go. You want customers to come in so they'll purchase your work or at least look at your work. But what you notice is that everybody who's going through the art fair, they're just walking right past your booth. They're not coming in, they're barely even looking. They might be heading over to neighbors' booths, shopping with them. People are carrying out artworks you can see other people are selling, but no one's even visiting your booth. So what are you supposed to do about this? In this video, I'm going to share with you some of the things that I've learned over the last decade of doing art fairs, and some of these tips will help you short-term right during a show, and then some of them are looking more into future shows to be able to make it so that this will never happen to you again, or will likely happen less often. So for the things to do at the show, you want to determine the direction of traffic flow. Now, this is usually fairly easy. You can see the direction that the majority of the people are walking in front of your booth. Then you want to see which wall or which artworks they are most likely to see first. So imagine that these are the walls of your booth, and then you have people walking in this direction. They are going to be seeing this wall first. And the artworks that are at the very front of this wall, they're nearest the people who are walking, are the ones they're going to see. They're likely not to see the ones that are on this wall. So what you want to do is put your best sellers, your very most attention-grabbing pieces on this wall where people are walking in this direction at the very front. And you want to make sure that you have prints of those pieces available in your print bins. Now, if you're an artist that doesn't make art prints, that's just fine. You don't have to have them. But what I found is that if you can have prints of these artworks that you have right in the visual path of the passers-by, you are going to get more sales because they are lower priced items that are impulse buy type of items. When people are just walking by, they're not even hardly stopping in, but if they have that piece catch their eye, likely if there's an art print of it just below it that's very affordable, they will at least think about purchasing it. And if they really like the piece, they will end up purchasing. Another thing that you can do is create movement, because psychologically people are evolved to, whenever we see movement, our eyes follow it. It's just part of our innate nature. So you can use this to your advantage. And I've seen people use this in all sorts of different ways. Some people have signs that spin, or I've seen like t-shirts up on these spinning, rotating, I don't know exactly what they're called, but they're little devices that hold the shirts and they make them move. Now, a lot of fine art fairs will not allow you to display things like this, but some craft fairs or lower end art fairs will. So it's definitely a tactic to keep in mind. But one of the things that you can do to create movement that's always acceptable at fine art fairs and really any type of event is doing a demonstration in your booth. You can put yourself right near the front of your booth making some of your artwork, and customers always love to see this. It will draw them in, it will create interest in your work. And if you're not getting people into your booth anyway, at least you're not wasting time sitting there in your booth being bored. So it works for two things, you know, the boredom alleviation and getting those customers into your booth. Another thing that works, and this works almost every time in any situation, is to have your helper, if you have someone there helping you, act like they're a shopper. Because sometimes people just don't want to enter your booth because they're afraid of being targeted and sold to. And if they're the only one in there, then it puts a lot of pressure on them to buy something, and they realize that the artist is going to be probably hovering over them, and they just don't want to deal with that. And so if you have your helper act like they're looking through prints, act like you're talking to them about the work, you can even talk louder, tell an interesting story, kind of wave your hands around to create movement, maybe pick a piece off the wall and show your helper the back of it like you're selling to them. And customers will see this from the outside of your booth, and it will end up getting them to come in. And it's surprising how this works, but every time my art booth feels like it's a little slow and I do something like this, it always gets people to come in and shop. Now, moving on to the long-term strategy. This is for shows in the future. What you want to do is try to create a body of work that has a wow factor, that's going to set you apart from every other artist at the art fair. Something that's really cool and unique that customers haven't seen before. And sometimes over time, if you have noticed that people are becoming less interested in your work, let's say you've done a show for 3 or 4 years in a row, maybe 5 years, it might be time to move on to a different show. So that way you have a fresh group of buyers looking at your work, so that you have a refreshing of that wow factor that your work initially had at the event. So these are some strategies that I've employed in my business. Now, some artists also just create entirely different bodies of work if they want to keep doing the same shows. But I find that that's not really practical for me. So what I do is when I see there's a little bit of a lackluster vibe with the wow factor of my booth at a show after many years, then I just move on to a different show. Last thing I think that's worth mentioning is signage, because if you plan out the signage properly in your booth, you are going to grab people's attention much better than if you're not using signage at all. And this is a common mistake I see that artists make at almost every art fair. They have beautiful work. They've spent all this time making their booth look amazing, but they forget signage. And signage, yeah, it's so important. So if you want to learn more about signage, I made an entire video. You can watch it here. Hope it helps. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.